What's going on, guys? Have you ever wanted to kill the Twin Furies but not really actually have to try? Well, this is the perfect method for you. Hopefully you guys use this to get some pets and then never go back to this boss again. No way I just got this at 300 KC. What is this? That's crazy. So before I get too deep into this video, guys, I just want to let you guys know there's a little disclaimer here. There's a waterfall off to my left that's just coming out of the sky. I mean, what's that all about? But yeah, this is just to say that this method isn't the greatest in the world. Your character kind of just stands around for some of the time if you're fully AFKing it. And if you're not fully AFKing it, you have to like reset the position of your character to a specific 1 or 2 tiles every single kill, and it's kind of annoying. But that method gives the fastest kills, and the more AFK method gives slightly slower kills. But honestly, I would probably just do that because the kills aren't that much slower and it's fully AFK versus having to reset your character every single kill. Alright guys, so to start things off, I'm going to have my AFK preset on screen here. Let me know if you guys like this graphic better than the other videos I've done. I think this looks a little bit better, but it might be a little busy. I'm not really sure. So to start off with the gear I use, you can see I'm using the Penance Aura. I always try to use the Penance Aura. I find it to be the best and most reliable one. I've noticed with the Penance Powder, sometimes your prayer drains. Although it probably would be fine with this setup since you have to use selves with the tier 99 prayer. But yeah, if you're not using the tier 99 prayer, you probably don't have to use selves. I'm just going to note that right in the beginning before I forget. I also use the Scrimshaw of Vampirism, and then you can use any ring you want. I use the Champion's Ring. And then I also use the Essence of Finality. I find the Essence of Finality is 100% required for this setup. You might be able to get away with an Amulet of Souls, but I probably wouldn't risk it. The Essence of Finality is used because it boosts your accuracy, and since you have 2 pieces of Crypt Bloom, your accuracy is pretty bad, and you need that accuracy buff. Otherwise, you just splash all the time. I also have a Zuck Cape. This is pretty much 100% required. The Zuck Cape is just too good for this method. So the way that this works is you're doing enough damage before and after the range hits to kill the boss before it does the explosion. With this setup, you never get the explosion, and yeah. Without the Zuck Cape, you probably would get explosions. Your DPS just wouldn't be high enough. As for the gear, the armor that I use the Jaws of the Abyss. This is pretty much required. The bleed, the extra adrenaline, I mean, when you have bleeds, is super strong. I also use 2 pieces of the Vestments of Havoc, and that's to regen adrenaline after you use some ultimates, because we're using 2 ultimates, I mean. It really does regen a lot of adrenaline. And then finally, 2 pieces of Crypt Bloom. Now, I would probably use the boots and gloves for this, and the Vestment of Havoc, body and legs, like you see on screen. There's maybe other things you could do if you got rid of the Jaws of the Abyss, if you wanted to swap out one of these pieces and like flip-flop them. But I would just do what you see on screen here. As for the inventory, Abyssal Armor Spikes are really strong for this, but you don't need alloy ones or anything like that. I also have a Luck Potion and a Ripper Demon with Scrolls. And then finally, I have the Attuned Portents of Restoration. You don't actually need these, but I find it is nice to have maybe 1 or 2 of them. It kind of just wastes them usually, which is why you don't need them. Like if you have full HP when you tank the range hits, you won't die. You'll just be really low HP. So you don't actually need the Portent of Restoration, but it is nice to have just in case. You could just have an emergency food if you're like at your screen and you can click a food real quick. But as for the relics, Persistent Rage, Conservation of Energy, and Fury of the Small are the best ones. You might be able to replace Conservation of Energy or Fury of the Small with Death Ward, but you don't need that unless you're like skimping out somewhere else probably. You can also probably use the Scourge and an offhand Lang instead of the Masterwork Spear of Annihilation, but I find the Masterwork Spear is the best for AFKing just because it has a little bit more AoE damage. but the Scourge and the offhand laying should work fine too. So on screen now is what it will look like for 2 of your standard kills. This first one is one where you get stuck under the range hits and take damage, and you can see you survive it. And then the second one, that doesn't happen, so you can see what just a standard kill looks like. Now, the way that this method works is you kind of just tank the barges and hope you get out the correct abilities. And then as soon as those barges are over, you go into like a hurricane and then a chaos roar quake. And then she does the flying range hit thing where you just kind of stand there again, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish it would redirect to the other Fury, but it is what it is, I guess. And then after that hit, you will do more AoE damage and then try to use Assault when they go into the middle to finish them off. And the bar on screen here seems to work really well at doing that. This setup gets somewhere around 39 to 40 kills per hour, so it's pretty solid for fully AFK, especially for how much time you're just standing there. So I'm quickly gonna go over the preset I use when I get back into position after every kill. This method, it's a little bit faster, but I don't know if it's really worth the effort. Just 3 pieces of the Vestments of Havoc, Jaws of the Abyss, and then the Scourge and an offhand Lang. You're also gonna need a Scrimshaw Vampirism. I also use Penance with this, and a Ripper Demon as well. Relics are the same. You can see the inventory setup, it's pretty similar as well. But then moving on to what happens during this kill, you can see I loot the boss and then I get into these specific tiles right here. So the best way I can say is right in front of where the gray one spawns is where you want to stand. You can see I have a little picture on screen here of where that is. It's kind of a janky picture, I don't know. You can see you basically want to stand 1 square directly in front of the gray one or 1 square to the left of that. This method gets somewhere between 41 to 42 kills per hour. So as you can see, it's not really that many kills faster than the other bar, but I guess it is faster. There may be better bars for this. This one may not be perfect, but I felt like it was pretty solid. You can see on screen here, this is what a standard kill looks like, and it works very similar to the other bar. Instead of getting in position every time, you could always just click on the gray one when it spawns, but I think it's easier just to get into the position to auto-retaliate. You can see in this method, you pretty much tank the barges the same way, and then you heal enough off the gray one through the range damage to just out-heal it. And then you use Assault again to get it down at the end. It's a very similar setup, but I think it works pretty decent as well. The bare minimum requirements are going to obviously be fairly high melee stats. I would probably suggest 90 plus, although level 92 plus weapons are way better for this method. So I would say level 90 plus melee stats. Also level 95 plus prayer for Soul Split and Turmoil. You're also going to need 99 plus invention, but I would highly suggest probably around level 120 just because it makes getting the best perks way easier. Getting perks at level 99 is kind of iffy, but getting them at level 120 is also pretty iffy. So definitely try to get level 120 or as close as you can to that level. You're also going to need level 105 plus archaeology, although again, I would highly suggest level 112 plus because that allows you to get the maximum monolith power, which is going to, again, be very helpful for this method. You're also going to need level 100 plus Herblore to make Elder Overloads. As far as quests, the Temple at Senistan and Plague's End are going to be absolutely required. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys made it this far, be sure to drop a like on the video. It does help with the channel. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked that video. Hopefully you guys get some titles. And check out these new robes that I just got. They're pretty cool, aren't they? These characters look so bad. What is going on?